Open that locker! The command cracked through the servants' aloe corridor like a gunshot. For one terrible second, nobody moved. Not the cooks standing near the service door. Not the two decorators holding half-folded table linen. Not the young security officer whose hand was already on the brass padlock. Even the ceiling fan seemed to turn more slowly, pushing warm morning air through a corridor that had suddenly become too small for all the eyes inside it. Kufre Essien stood in the center of the passage, still wearing the pale grey uniform she had ironed before dawn. Her palms were damp. Her heartbeat was pounding so loudly that she could barely hear the music drifting from the garden, where more than 300 guests would soon gather for the white wedding of Damilare Akinyele and Morun Ranti Fashola. Ranti stepped forward in a silk robe, her bridal makeup only half done. Her face was beautiful, controlled and cold. "I said, open it," she repeated. "Or should we wait until she carries the rest of the jewelry out of this house?" The security officer broke the lock. Metal scraped against metal. The locker door swung open. At first, there was nothing unusual inside. 2 folded uniforms, a pair of flat shoes, a nylon bag containing a small Bible, paracetamol, and a packet of chin-chin. Then the officer bent down and pulled out a dark velvet pouch. Dr. Modupi Akinyele covered her mouth. "No," she whispered. The officer opened the pouch. A coral and gold necklace spilled into his palm. It was the missing necklace Dr. Modupi had worn on her own wedding day 36 years earlier. The necklace she had planned to wear again that morning as her only son took a wife. A sound moved through the corridor. Not quite a gasp. More like judgment finding its voice. Ranti pointed at Kufre. I knew it. Kufre Alo's knees nearly gave way, but she forced herself to remain standing. "I did not put that there." Ranti laughed without humor. "Of course you did not. Maybe the necklace grew legs and entered your locker by itself. Someone opened it." "You expect us to believe that?" The head of security lifted the pouch. "Madam, should I call the police?" "Yes," Ranti said immediately. "Call them now, before this thief steals something else. I am not a thief." Kufre Alo's voice was not loud, yet it cut through the murmuring. Ranti turned sharply. "What did you say?" "I said I am not a thief." At that moment, footsteps sounded from the main hall. Damilare Akinyele appeared at the end of the corridor in a black wedding suit, his bow tie still hanging loose around his neck. Behind him stood his father, Chief Oladapo Akinyele, already dressed for the ceremony. Dami looked from his mother Alo's pale face to the necklace in the guard Alo's hand, then to Kufre. What happened? Ranti moved towards him. The necklace was inside her locker. Your mother Alo's necklace. After everything this family has done for her. Kufre turned to Dami. "Sir, check the access records before they take me away." The corridor fell silent again. She swallowed. "If you keep quiet now, they will not only take my job, they will take my name." Dami stared at her. Then he looked at the woman he was supposed to marry in less than 2 hours. What he discovered after that would not only stop the wedding. It would expose the kind of cruelty that expensive clothes, charity speeches, and beautiful photographs could no longer hide. Do not leave this story halfway, because the person everyone called a thief had kept one small record that would shake the entire mansion. Tell us in the comments where you are listening from and your local time. And subscribe, because before this day ended, a billionaire Alo's son would have to decide whether a wedding was worth more than an innocent woman Alo's dignity. 9 days earlier, Kufre had woken before her alarm. The room she shared with her friend Idara was still dark, but Lagos had already started speaking outside the window. A generator coughed to life in the next compound. Somewhere near the junction, a woman selling akara called out to early customers. A bus conductor shouted, Oberlende, CMS, enter with your change. Kufre sat up carefully so she would not wake Idara. She folded her wrapper, washed from a small bucket in the bathroom, and dressed in a navy skirt with a plain white blouse. Her grey uniform remained inside a nylon bag because she preferred changing at work. By 5:20, she was outside, moving quickly through the cool morning towards the bus stop. She had worked in the Akinyele mansion for 11 months. Not directly for the family. Her official employer was Bright Home Domestic Services, an agency that supplied housekeepers, cooks, gardeners, and nannies to wealthy homes across Lagos. The agency collected its fee before the workers received their own salaries. It also fined them for lateness, damaged uniforms, and complaints from clients. Kufre had learned to arrive early. She had also learned to keep records. Inside her handbag was a small hardback notebook with a faded blue cover. She called it the house book. It contained dates, deliveries, names, and instructions. She wrote down when a contractor removed a broken television, when a florist collected unused vases, when the cook sent back spoiled meat, when a driver borrowed the laundry key, when a guest left a wristwatch in the drawing room. Some of the other staff mocked her. "Madam Auditor," one of the gardeners would say, "when are you buying your own mansion?" Kufre usually smiled. What none of them knew was that she had started keeping records after her first domestic job, when a family accused a teenage houseboy of stealing a phone that had later been found inside the owner, Alo's car. The boy had already been beaten and dismissed before the truth came out. Nobody apologized. Nobody paid him the salary they owed. That day, Kufre understood something. In a place where one person had money and another person needed the job, truth alone was not enough. Truth needed dates. Truth needed witnesses. Truth needed something stronger than the memory of a frightened worker. By 6:45, she reached the gate of the Akinyele mansion on Banana Island. The house was not merely large. It was organized to remind visitors that the people living inside had succeeded. The driveway curved around a fountain imported from Italy. Tall glass windows reflected the lagoon. Palm trees stood in neat lines, each one lit from below at night. At the rear of the property were staff quarters, a service kitchen, a laundry building, and a security office that monitored cameras around the compound. The wedding had turned the mansion into a marketplace. Florists carried boxes through the gate. Tailors came and went. Caterers argued over cold room space. Event assistants moved with clipboards. Security men issued temporary access cards. Every surface seemed to hold fabric, ribbon, gifts, or unopened cartons. Mrs. Omason Edwar, the household manager, was waiting near the service entrance. "Kufre, thank God. Go and help them in the West store. The guest boxes have arrived, but nobody knows who counted what." Kufre changed quickly and entered the store. Palumi Fashola stood beside a stack of cream-colored boxes, printed with the words "Dignity Bejans" at home. He was Ranti Alo's cousin and the procurement coordinator for the wedding. His shirt was open at the neck, and 2 phones rested on the table before him. "You," he said when he saw Kufre. "Count these. How many should there be?" 400. Kufre looked around. "Where is the delivery note?" Palumi pushed a sheet towards her. The paper said 400 luxury guest boxes had been delivered. Each box was supposed to contain imported chocolates, scented candles, a miniature bottle of champagne, and a printed card describing the couple's new foundation for women from low-income communities. Kufre counted the boxes. Then she counted them again. 252. She checked the corridor. No boxes were waiting outside. "Sir, this is 252. Palumi did not look up from his phone. "Sign the paper." "The paper says 400. I know what the paper says. But only 252 entered the store. Pulumi finally lifted his head. He smiled, but his eyes did not. Are you the auditor of this wedding? No, sir. Then sign. Kufre placed the pen down. I can sign for 252. Pulumi leaned against the table. Listen to me. More boxes are coming later. We are doing one complete invoice. Sign now so the supplier can leave. Kufre glanced at the driver standing near the door. The man looked away. Then when the remaining boxes come, I will sign for them. Pelumi's smile disappeared. What is your name again? Kufre, S-E-N. Kufre. You are paid to clean, not to question documents. You asked me to count, and I am telling you to sign. She kept her voice calm. I can sign what entered the house. I cannot sign for what did not enter. Mrs. Omerson came into the store just as the air between them tightened. What is the problem? Pulumi held out the document. Your girl is delaying everybody, Kufre explained. Omerson counted one row, then looked at the other rows. She had managed homes for more than 20 years. She knew enough to see that 400 boxes were not there. Write the actual number beside your signature, she told Kufre quietly. Pulumi stared at her. Madam Omerson, Ranti approved this delivery. Then the remaining boxes should come. Pulumi snatched the paper, drew a line through the signature space and walked out. Before leaving, he turned to Kufre. You people always think stubbornness is the same as integrity. After he left, Omerson let out a breath. You should be careful. I only wrote the number. In houses like this, numbers can offend people more than insults. Kufre opened her blue notebook. What are you doing? Recording the delivery. Omerson shook her head. One day that book will put you in trouble. Kufre wrote the date, the supplier, the quantity, and Pulumi Alo's instruction. Then she looked at Omerson. Or bring me out of it. That afternoon, Damilare Akinyele returned from Abuja. He was not a man who needed to announce his presence. Staff noticed the change in the compound before he entered the house. The security men stood straighter. The drivers moved vehicles from the main entrance. His personal assistant began making calls near the fountain. Dami was 35, tall and broad-shouldered, with the restrained confidence of someone who had grown up around power, but had spent years proving he could manage it. He served as chief operating officer of Akinyele Hotels and Residences, a hospitality group founded by his father. Unlike Chief Oladapo, Dami did not shout at staff. He greeted people. He said thank you. He had once paid the hospital bill of a driver injured in an accident. Because of these things, Dami believed he understood fairness. He did not know what Brighthome deducted from the workers' Alo salaries. He did not know that some of the kitchen staff had no written contracts. He did not know the name of the woman who washed his bedsheets, or the man who cleaned the swimming pool at dawn. His kindness had never required him to look very closely. Kufre first saw him that day when she was carrying freshly pressed tablecloths across the upstairs landing. His wristwatch lay on a console table beside an open folder. She recognized it. He had worn it during a dinner at the house the previous month. It was worth more than everything inside the room she rented. She placed the linen down, picked up the watch and waited. When Dami returned, she held it out. You left this here, sir. He looked at the watch, then at her. Thank you. You are welcome. He slipped it onto his wrist and continued his phone call. That was all. Kufre picked up the linen and moved on. The next morning, Ranti arrived with a media team. She wore a pale green trouser suit and walked through the front garden while a young woman filmed her. Dignity begins at home, Ranti said to the camera. That is why Dami and I are using our wedding to launch a program that will support women who are rebuilding their lives through honest work. Behind the camera, a makeup artist adjusted her powder. Ranti continued. No woman should be made to feel invisible because of her income or background. The director smiled. Beautiful. One more take. A temporary waitress carrying glasses passed too close to the filming area. Her elbow struck the edge of a decorated table, pulling one corner of the cloth loose. Ranti Alo's expression changed immediately. Can I let you see? The waitress froze. She was old enough to be Ranti Alo's mother. I am sorry, madam. Sorry will not repair anything. Who hired you people? If you cannot handle a tablecloth, what exactly can you handle? The camera had stopped recording. Nobody spoke. The waitress bent quickly, trying to fix the cloth with shaking hands. Kufre moved beside her. Let me help you. Together, they straightened the fabric. When Kufre looked up, Ranti was watching her. It was not what Kufre had done that offended her. It was the quietness of it. No apology, no performance. Just one worker helping another after Ranti had humiliated her. Later, in the dressing room, Ranti asked Omasan, Who is that maid with a serious face? Kufre. How long has she been here? Almost 1 year. She looks at people as if she is judging them. Omasan gave a cautious smile. She is only observant. I do not like observant people in private houses. Omasan said nothing. 3 days later, the wine delivery arrived. The invoice listed 120 cartons of premium champagne and wine. Kufre was called to help transfer the cartons into the cold room. There were 86. Pelumi stood at the door. Sign here. Kufre looked at the figures. Sir, this is short. His jaw tightened. On again, there are 86 cartons. The rest are at the event warehouse. Then the warehouse should sign for them. Pelumi stepped closer. You think, because Madame Omasan supported you once, you can embarrass me? I am not embarrassing you. You are a maid. Do you understand? A maid. Your work is to carry the boxes I pay for and keep your opinions inside your mouth. Kufre looked at the paper. Then do not put my name where counting is required. One of the caterers lowered his head to hide a smile. Pelumi saw it. His face darkened. He took the paper and walked away. That evening, Kufre made another entry in the housebook. 86 cartons received. Invoice stated 120. Pelumi instructed full signature. Refused. The following day, her schedule changed. She was moved from the morning shift to the evening shift. Then she was ordered to redo the guest rooms after another team had already prepared them. When she finished, Ranti walked through with a white glove, dragging one finger across shelves and accusing her of leaving dust. There is nothing here, Kufre said before she could stop herself. Ranti held up the glove. Are you calling me a liar? No, madam. Then clean it again. Kufre cleaned every room again. That night, she missed the last staff bus and paid for a commercial ride home with money she had planned to use for food. The next morning, Adara watched her rub ointment into her swollen feet. You should leave that place. And go where? Another house. Bright Home will ask why I left. Tell them the truth. Kufre gave a tired laugh. The truth does not pay transport. Idara sat beside her. You cannot keep allowing them to press you. I am saving to finish my course. You have been saving for 2 years. And I am close. How close? Kufre looked at the small envelope hidden inside her bag. Close enough not to lose this job now. That was the trap of need. People spoke about courage as if it was free. As if the woman who challenged power would not still need rent at the end of the month. As if dignity did not sometimes have to share a room with hunger. Kufre returned to work, and she kept writing. 2 evenings later, Dami found Kufre in the upstairs linen room. She had removed every bedsheet from one shelf and arranged them in piles on the floor. A handwritten label hung from each section. King, Queen, Guest, Damaged, Repair. Dami paused at the doorway. What happened here? Kufre turned. Good evening, sir. Good evening. Why is the whole linen room on the floor? The shelves were mixed. Some damaged sheets were returning to guest rooms. I am separating them. Was that not being done before? It was, but too many temporary workers are entering because of the wedding. Dami picked up one of the cards. This looks like our hotel system. Kufre hesitated. It is similar. How do you know our hotel system? I studied hospitality management for some time. Where? A private institute in Uyo. I stopped before the final certification. Why? My father died. My mother had already borrowed money for his treatment. I came to Lagos to work. Dami nodded slowly. What part of hospitality did you prefer? Housekeeping operations. He looked surprised. Most students want front office. Front office receives the praise. Housekeeping receives the blame. A small smile touched his face. You sound experienced. I have seen that a room can look perfect and still be badly managed. She returned a folded sheet to the correct shelf. A big house is the same. It cannot run on loyalty alone. It needs records. When there are no records, the poorest person becomes the explanation for everything. Dami studied her face. Has something happened? Kufre almost told him. The missing guest boxes, the short wine delivery, Palumi Alo's pressure, Ranti Alo's punishment. Then she remembered the agency contract, the rent, the envelope in her bag. Nothing I cannot document, sir. Before he could ask more, Ranti entered. There you are. She walked directly to Dami and touched his arm. The designer is waiting downstairs. We need to approve the reception layout. Dami gestured towards the shelves. Kufre has reorganized the linen system. Ranti looked at the labels. Wonderful. Should we promote her to general manager? Kufre lowered her eyes. Dami missed the blade inside the joke. Let us go, Ranti said. As they left, she glanced back at Kufre. The warning in her eyes was clear. That night, Ranti called Kufre into the bridal sitting room. The room was filled with garment bags and boxes of shoes. A framed design board showed the wedding colors: ivory, champagne, and deep coral. On one wall, a printed slogan read "Dignity begins at home." Ranti front of a mirror while a stylist tested earrings against her face. Everybody out, she said. When the stylist left, Ranti pointed to the chair opposite her. Kufre remained standing. You have been causing unnecessary problems with the wedding deliveries. I have only been recording what came. I did not ask what you have been doing. I told you the problem. Kufre said nothing. Ranti opened a drawer and removed an envelope. There is 100,000 naira here. She placed it on the table. Kufre looked at it. For what, madam? For your inconvenience. You have worked very hard. I have not complained about the work. Take it. Kufre did not move. Ranti leaned back. I understand you did not finish school. The muscles in Kufre Alo's shoulders tightened. I can arrange a placement for you at one of the hotels after the wedding. A proper job, better uniform, better salary. Maybe they can even support your certification. That would be kind. Good, then we understand each other. Ranti slid 2 delivery notes across the table. Correct the quantities and sign them. Kufre looked down. The guest boxes had been changed to 400. The wine had been changed to 120 cartons. These are not the quantities I received. You received part at the house. The rest went elsewhere. Then the person who received the rest should sign. Ranti Alo's fingernails tapped once against the glass table. You like sounding clever. No, madam. Do you know how many people want your job? Yes. Do you know how easily Bright Home can replace you? Yes. Then, why are you behaving as if this family needs your permission to conduct a wedding? Kufre looked at the envelope, then at the forms. My signature means I saw the goods. You saw enough of them. I cannot correct a true number into a false one. For the first time, Ranti Alo's composure broke. You are calling me a thief in my fiancé Alo's house? No. I am saying I will not sign. Ranti stood. You poor people are very funny. When opportunity comes, you start acting proud. You think integrity will pay your school fees? Kufre Alo's throat tightened. No, madam, but a false signature can destroy more than school fees. Ranti picked up the envelope and pushed it back into the drawer. Get out! Kufre reached the door. And Kufre? She stopped. Do not mistake the fact that Dami spoke to you for importance. Men like him can notice people like you without ever seeing you. Kufre left without answering. In the corridor, she stood still until her breathing settled. Then she opened the housebook and recorded the meeting. She did not mention the exact words. She wrote only what could matter later. Ranti offered cash and job placement, requested revised quantities, refused. The following morning, Kufre prepared a short report. It was 1 page. No accusations, no dramatic language. She listed the deliveries, the stated quantities, and the actual quantities. She attached photographs of the storage shelves and copies of the notes she had been asked to sign. She gave the envelope to Mrs. Omerson. Please submit this to Mr. Billionaire. Omerson looked alarmed. What is inside? The shortages. Kufre, the wedding is in 4 days. That is why it should be addressed now. Do you understand the kind of trouble this can cause? The trouble already exists. Omerson lowered her voice. Chief does not like scandal. Dami is under pressure. Ranti Alo's family is coming for the traditional dinner tonight. Can you not wait until after the wedding? If I wait, the documents may be completed with my name. Omerson held the envelope. I will speak to Dami. Today? Yes. Kufre searched her face. Please, madam. I said, I will handle it. Omerson placed the envelope inside the top drawer of her desk. She intended to deliver it. But before noon, the caterer reported a freezer failure. Then the generator technician arrived. Then Dr. Modupi changed the seating plan. By evening, the envelope remained in the drawer. The next day, Omerson remembered it. She took it out, held it for a moment, and pictured what would follow. Questions, shouting. Pelumi denying everything. Ranti accusing her of undermining the wedding. Chief Oladapo asking why she had allowed staff to interfere with procurement. Perhaps dismissal after 21 years of service. She pushed the envelope deeper into the drawer. After the wedding, she told herself. It could wait 3 more days. That same afternoon, Dr. Modup brought out the necklace. The bridal sitting room was crowded with women. Tailors adjusted sleeves. A jewelry consultant arranged bangles on velvet trays. Ranti Alo's mother sat near the window, discussing the order of photographs. Dr. Modupi opened a long wooden box. Inside lay a necklace made of deep coral beads, joined at the center by hand-worked gold. The room softened. Even Ranti stopped speaking. My mother-in-law gave this to me, Dr. Modup said. I wore it when Oladapo and I married. I want to wear it on Saturday. Ranti touched one bead carefully. It is beautiful. It is old. Old things with stories are more valuable. Pelumi, standing near the drinks table, asked, How much is it worth? Dr. Modup gave him a disapproving look. Not everything has to be priced. He laughed. I am only curious. The jewelry consultant explained that the gold work alone would be expensive, but the family history made it impossible to value properly. Kufre entered with a tray of tea. She set it down and began collecting empty cups. Dr. Modup smiled at her. Kufre, come and see. Kufre stepped closer. My mother had coral like this, she said. Not as much gold. Did she wear it for traditional ceremonies? Yes, ma. She sold most of it when my father became ill. Dr. Modup Alo's expression changed. I am sorry. Thank you, ma. Ranti watched the exchange. Kufre returned to her work, Later, she carried the tea tray downstairs. As she passed the security office, she saw Palumi speaking with one of the temporary event coordinators. "I need access for the media people," he said. "Some of them will use the staff corridor." The security officer shook his head. "We are not duplicating permanent staff access." "I did not say permanent. Give me an admin card so we can assign zones. You need Mr. Dami Allo's assistant to approve it." Palumi lowered his voice. Kufre could not hear the rest. She continued walking. That evening, Ranti sent her to buy a particular anti-allergy medicine. "Tonight?" Kufre asked. "Yes, tonight. There is a pharmacy delivery service." "I do not want delivery. Go to the one near Admiralty Way. Bring the exact brand." Kufre checked the time. "It was almost 8. I am still on duty." "And I am telling you what your duty is." Kufre went. The pharmacy was crowded. By the time she returned, nearly 90 minutes had passed. Ranti took the medicine without opening the bag. "You took too long." "There was traffic. There is always traffic in Lagos. It is not an explanation." Kufre recorded the errand in her notebook. At 8:04 p.m., sent to pharmacy by Ranti, returned 9:31 p.m., receipt kept. The next morning, she noticed something else. The hook holding the spare locker keys in Omasan Alo's office was empty. "Madam, where are the staff keys?" Omasan looked up from her computer. "Which keys?" "The locker spares." "Oh. Palumi borrowed them yesterday." "Why?" "He said they needed to store gift items in the staff section." "Did he return them?" Omasan checked a drawer. "Yes. Did you record it?" Omasan gave her a tired look. "Kuf, not everything needs to enter your book." Kufre said nothing. She wrote it down later. Palumi borrowed spare locker keys. Reason given: storage. That night, while the mansion slept, an access card carrying Kufre Ailo's permanent staff code opened the west corridor near Dr. Mojupe Ailo's dressing room. The real card remained inside Kufre Ailo's bag. The corridor camera did not record the person who entered. It had been disabled through the event team Alas tablet 7 minutes earlier. Inside the dressing room, the coral and gold necklace rested in its wooden box. By morning, the box was empty. At 6:15, the mansion was already alive. The white wedding would begin at 10:30. Guests were expected from 8. Vehicles moved in and out of the gate. A choir rehearsed near the garden pavilion. A makeup team occupied the east wing. Kufre arrived at 6:22. The staff entrance scanner recorded her card. She changed into a fresh uniform and went directly to the breakfast pantry. At 6:50, Dr. Majup called for the necklace. At 6:58, her personal assistant discovered the empty box. The cry traveled across the upper floor. Within minutes, Ranti took control. "Close the gates," she ordered. "Nobody leaves." Chief Oladapo came from his study. "What is happening?" "Mummy Alo's necklace is gone." Dr. Mojup sat in the dressing room, gripping the empty box. "I saw it last night." "Who entered this room?" Ranti demanded. The assistant began listing names. "Tailor, makeup artist, jewelry consultant, 2 housekeepers." "Kufre cleaned this corridor," Ranti said. Omasan looked at her. "Many people used the corridor, but Kufre was here late." Kufre, standing near the door, spoke carefully. "I was sent to the pharmacy last night. You returned." "Yes. And you entered the house." "Yes." Ranti turned to the head of security. "Search everybody." The man hesitated. "Madam, we should review the cameras first." "Do both. Some areas are still processing. Then start with the staff rooms." Kufre felt something cold move through her stomach. "Why the staff rooms first?" Ranti looked at her. "Because guests do not usually steal from the people inviting them." The head of security avoided Kufre Alo's eyes. The workers were gathered in the servants' Alo corridor. Bags were opened, pockets were emptied. A young kitchen assistant began crying when a guard removed cash from her purse and counted it. Kufre stood beside her locker. "Wait," she said when the officer reached for the lock. "I have the key." Ranti stepped forward. "Use the spare." "Why?" "So nobody can claim you removed anything before opening it." Kufre looked at Omasan. The older woman, Alo's face had gone pale. "Madam, I should be present when they open it." Omasan opened her mouth, but Ranti spoke first. "You are present. I mean beside the locker. You are standing 3 steps away. Stop delaying us." Kufre moved forward. A security officer blocked her. Ranti Alo's voice rose. "Open that locker!" The padlock broke. The velvet pouch appeared, and the whole world changed. After Dami arrived in the corridor, nobody wanted to meet Kufre Alo's eyes. The necklace lay in the security officer Alo's palm like a verdict. Chief Oladapo Alo's face hardened. "This must be handled quietly." Ranti turned to him. "Quietly? She stole from your wife on your son Alo's wedding day. We have guests arriving." "Exactly. Police should take her through the service gate before anyone sees." Kufre stared at Dami. "Sir, please." He looked troubled, but trouble was not the same as courage. "Were you the only person with a key to that locker?" he asked. "No." Omasan shifted slightly. "There are spare keys," Kufre said. "Pelumi borrowed them." Every face turned. Pelumi stepped out from behind 2 event workers. "For gifts," he said. "Everybody knows that." "Check the register," Kufre said. Omasan Alo's throat moved. "There is no entry." Rantai lifted both hands. "So now she wants to accuse my cousin? I am asking you to check. The necklace was found inside your locker. After they opened it without me." Dami looked at the head of security. "Was she present?" "She was in the corridor, sir." "Was the search recorded?" The man hesitated. "Not from the beginning." Ranti stared at Dami. "You cannot be serious. I am asking questions." "Your mother Al's necklace was found in her locker." Kufre took 1 step towards him. "Check the access records. Check when my card entered the dressing corridor. Check the pharmacy receipt. Check who opened the security system." Dami Elo's father moved closer. "Dami, we have a wedding in 2 hours." The sentence did what it was meant to do. It reminded him of the guests, the contracts, the photographs, the families, and the money already spent. It made Kufre Alo's life feel like one problem among many. Dami turned to the head of security. "Call the police. Give them everything. Let the investigation establish what happened." Kufre stared at him. "If you are innocent," he added, "the investigation will show it." Her face changed. Not dramatically. She did not scream. She did not collapse. Something simply closed behind her eyes. "An investigation may return my freedom," she said. "It may not return what people will say about me." Ranti folded her arms. "Enough of this performance." Kufre looked at Dami one last time. "You think standing in the middle makes you fair, sir. But there is no middle when one person owns the house, and the other person is being carried out of it." The police arrived 23 minutes later. Kufre was taken through the service gate, just as Ranti had requested. The police station did not look like a place where names were returned. It looked like a place where names became case numbers. Kufre sat on a wooden bench beneath a wall fan that clicked with every turn. The velvet pouch and necklace had been sealed inside an evidence bag. Her handbag rested on a desk where an officer had removed each item and placed it in a line. Phone, purse, housebook, pharmacy receipt. Small envelope containing her school savings. The officer picked up the notebook. "What is this?" "My work record. You are a cleaner, housekeeper." He flipped through the pages. "Why are you writing all these things?" "So I remember, or so you can plan." Kufre looked at him. "Plan what?" He dropped the book on the table. "You entered a room." A necklace disappeared. The necklace was found in your locker. That is what we have. You also have the time my card entered. That will be checked. And the pharmacy receipt. It will be checked. Then please check before writing that I stole it. The officer leaned back. Nobody has written that yet. Another officer entered with a phone in his hand. Madam Billionaire Maid Don trend already. He showed the screen to his colleague. Kufre saw the headline before he turned it away. Maid arrest after stealing billionaire family wedding jewelry. Below it was a photograph of her being led through the service gate. Her face was clear. Her knees weakened. Who gave them my picture? The officers did not answer. Her phone began ringing on the desk. Idara. Then again. Bright Home. Then a number she did not know. The officer silenced it. You can call later. My employer is calling. They will hear from us. I need to tell them I did not steal anything. You have already told us. By 10:00 o'clock, the story had spread through blogs and WhatsApp groups. Some posts said the necklace was worth 100 million naira. Others said Kufre had been caught with several missing items. One account claimed she had confessed. None of it was true. Truth moved carefully. Rumor traveled in a fast car. At the mansion, the wedding did not begin. The choir stopped rehearsing. Guests remained seated beneath the decorated pavilion, while ushers whispered that there was a delay. Photographers took pictures of the flowers. Caterers kept food warm. Ranti returned to the bridal room and ordered her makeup artist to continue. Dami stood in his father Alo's study, watching the article spread. Who released her name? He asked. Chief Oladapo sat behind the desk. We do not know. The picture was taken inside our gate. There were over 100 vendors in this compound. Dami looked towards the window. We should issue a statement saying the matter is under investigation. His father frowned. That will connect the wedding directly to a theft scandal. It is already connected. Then do not feed it. Dr. Mojup sat on a sofa, still wearing her dressing gown. I want the necklace back, she said quietly. But I do not want that girl condemned if there is any doubt. Ranti stood near the fireplace. What doubt, Mummy? They found it in her locker, she said. Someone had the spare key. Ranti Alo's face tightened. Are we now accusing my cousin because a maid knows how to lie? Dami turned to her. Did you tell security to search Kufre Alo's locker first? I told them to search the staff area. You said her name. Because she was in that corridor. So were other people. Ranti stared at him. You are standing here questioning me while our guests wait? I am asking what happened. What happened is that your employee stole from your mother. She is not our employee. Bright Home employs her. Chief Oladapo rubbed his forehead. This argument is going nowhere. We postpone the ceremony for a few hours. Allow the police to process the matter and continue. Dami looked at him. Continue? You heard me. Ranti stepped towards Dami. Darling, this is exactly what she wanted. She knew the wedding would create confusion. We cannot allow one criminal to destroy our day. The word criminal landed badly. Dami remembered Kufre in the linen room. When there are no records, the poorest person becomes the explanation for everything. He pushed the memory aside. A necklace had been found in her locker. That was not prejudice. That was evidence, was it not? At the station, Kufre was asked to write a statement. The officer dictated the opening line. On the morning of my employer Alo's son Alo's wedding, a necklace was discovered in my locker. Kufre stopped writing. I do not work for them directly. The officer sighed. Write it. I work for Bright Home. Is that the important thing now? It is true. He took the paper and wrote the sentence himself. Then he continued. I had access to the upper floor as part of my duties. Kufre wrote that line. I was the last staff member seen near the dressing room. I was not. Madam, do you want to write your statement or do you want to argue? I want to write what happened. The officer pushed the paper towards her. Then write. She began from the evening before. She wrote about the pharmacy errand, the receipt, her return time, the staff entrance, the missing keys, the search. When she finished, the officer read it. You did not explain how the necklace entered your locker. Because I do not know. So your defense is that somebody framed you. My statement is that I did not steal it. A woman in a dark green suit entered the room. She carried a leather folder and wore her natural hair in short twists. Who is Kufre Essien? Kufre stood. I am. The woman looked at the officer. My name is Barrister Ifunanyamba. I represent her. The officer frowned. Who called you? A mutual contact. Has she been charged? We are taking a statement. Has she been cautioned? We know our work, Barrister. Good. Then you know I will need a copy of every document she is asked to sign. Ifunanya sat beside Kufre. Have you signed anything? Only my own statement. Did you read every line? Yes. Good. The officer reached for another form. This acknowledges the recovered property. Ifunanya read it. The wording stated that the necklace had been recovered from Kufre Arlo's possession. She will not sign this, the lawyer said. It was in her locker. That is not the same wording. Write that it was reportedly found during a search conducted in her absence. She was in the corridor. Was she beside the locker? The officer Alo's mouth tightened. Ifunanya turned to Kufre. Tell me everything from the beginning. Do not shorten it because you are afraid of wasting my time. Kufre spoke for nearly 40 minutes. She explained the deliveries, the false quantities, Ranti Alo's offer, the spare keys, the pharmacy errand, the access records. When she finished, Ifunanya asked for the housebook. The officer handed it over. The lawyer read several pages. Did you make these entries on the dates written here? Yes. Can anyone confirm some of them? Mrs. Omerson. Drivers, caterers, suppliers. Ifunanya closed the book carefully. Then she looked at the investigating officer. I am formally requesting that you preserve the mansion Alo's CCTV footage, electronic access logs, staff key records, visitor register, and communications relating to the search. I also want the pharmacy footage and transaction record secured. We have not refused to investigate. Preservation happens before data disappears, not after. The officer leaned back. Barrister, you came here and started giving orders. No. I came here because somebody released my client Allah's identity to the public before your investigation had even begun. Nobody answered. By afternoon, Kufre had not been charged. The necklace had been recovered. She had a fixed address. The officers still needed to review evidence. Ifunanya insisted that holding her, simply because the family was powerful, would not improve the case. Kufre was released, pending further investigation. Outside the station, Idara ran towards her. My sister. She wrapped both arms around Kufre. Kufre stood stiffly at first. Then the strength left her body. She pressed her face against Idara Alo's shoulder and cried. Not loudly. The tears came with small, painful breaths, as if even grief had to ask permission. Ifunanya waited beside them. When Kufre finally lifted her head, the lawyer said, Do not read the comments online. My name is already there. Yes. They called me a thief. Yes. How do I remove it? Ifunanya Alo's expression was steady. We begin with evidence. Then we deal with the people who believed publication was more urgent than truth. Kufre Alo's phone rang. Bright home, she answered. The operations manager did not ask whether she was all right. Kufre, where are you? Outside the station. We have received a serious complaint. I did not steal anything. The item was found in your locker. The search was not properly conducted. That is for the police. For now, you are suspended from all client assignments. My salary is due tomorrow. It will be held pending the outcome. You cannot hold salary for work already done. The agency must protect itself. What about me? There was a pause. You should have protected yourself by following professional conduct. Kufre looked at Ifunanya. The lawyer held out her hand for the phone. Good afternoon. This is Barrister Ifunanya Emba. Kindly send the suspension notice in writing, along with the contractual clause authorizing you to withhold earned wages. The manager Alo's tone changed. We are only following procedure. Then documenting it should be easy. The call ended soon after. When Kufre and Idara returned to their compound, the landlord was waiting. He held his phone in one hand. This thing I am seeing online, is it you? Kufre's stomach sank. I did not steal the necklace. Police carried you. They released me. Released is not cleared. Idara stepped forward. Uncle, she has paid her rent. I did not say she has not paid. But I do not want police coming to this compound. No police is coming. You people should not bring trouble here. Neighbors stood behind curtains. Children watched from the staircase. Kufre entered the room and closed the door. On the bed lay the envelope containing her school savings. For months, it had represented movement. Now it looked small and foolish. Idara sat beside her. Eat something. I am not hungry. You have not eaten since morning. I said I am not hungry. Idara remained quiet. Kufre picked up her phone, despite Ifunanya Alo's warning. The article had thousands of comments. Greedy girl. These maids cannot be trusted. She probably planned it with her boyfriend. Poor people always want what they did not work for. One comment said she should be locked away for life. Another person had found an old photograph from Bright Home Alo's social media page and reposted it beside the word thief. Kufre switched off the phone. That night, she did not sleep. At the mansion, the wedding was officially postponed. The announcement blamed a family emergency. Guests left with gift boxes. Only 252 of them received one. Ranti refused to remove her wedding dress until nearly midnight. She sat before the mirror while her mother spoke on the phone with relatives. This is a disaster, Mrs. Fashola said. People are already asking questions. Ranti looked at Dami through the mirror. He had changed out of his suit. We can reschedule for next week, she said. The police will finish with the girl. Dami stood near the door. What do you mean? Finish with her. Charge her. You do not know what they will find. I know where they found the necklace. He watched her. Why was her name leaked? Ranti looked away. I do not know. Pelumi knew the blog that posted first. Pelumi knows many bloggers. He works in events. Did he send them the picture? Ranti stood. Do not start this again. I asked a question. And I am tired of questions about a maid while my wedding has been ruined. Our wedding. She laughed bitterly. You did not look like it mattered to you when you allowed everybody to leave. My mother could not continue. Your mother got her necklace back. Damialo's eyes hardened. A woman was taken away in front of the entire staff. A woman who stole from us. You keep saying that, as if there has been a conviction. Ranti stepped close. Listen to yourself. You sound like her lawyer. He did not answer. She softened her voice. Dami, I know you want to be fair. That is one of the things I love about you. But some people use good people. She saw this house. She saw the wedding. She saw money everywhere, and she took a chance. Dami remembered the watch Kufre had returned. The easiest answer was that she had resisted one temptation and surrendered to another. People were inconsistent. Still, something troubled him. She told security to check the access logs before anyone mentioned them. So, a thief whose stolen property is inside her locker usually asks people not to investigate further. Ranti Alo's face became very still, unless she prepared an excuse. Dami left without replying. The following morning, Chief Oladapo Alo's lawyer went to see Kufre. He came with a settlement letter. Ifunanya read it in her office whilst Kufre sat opposite her. The offer included 2 million naira described as compassionate support. Bright Home would withdraw its suspension after the police matter ended. Kufre would agree not to speak publicly about the search, the family, or the wedding. Does it say they will withdraw the accusation? Kufre asked. No. Does it say they will correct the article? No. Does it say they accept I did not steal? No. What does it say? It says the money is not an admission of liability. Kufre leaned back. They want to pay me to disappear. Ifunanya placed the document on the table. That is my reading. 2 million is more than I have ever held. Yes, it can finish my school. Yes, Kufre was quiet for a long time. Then she shook her head. If I take it, they will say the thief collected money and ran away. The agreement prevents both sides from making public statements. They already made theirs. It is online. Ifunanya watched her. What do you want? I want them to investigate properly. And after that? My salary, good. My name removed from that agency blacklist, good. The blog must correct the story. Yes. And if the police clear me, the family must say publicly that I did not steal. The lawyer nodded. Anything else? Kufre looked at the settlement letter. My name is not a household expense. Ifunanya Alo's expression softened, but her voice remained practical. Then we write back. At Akinyele House, Dami received Kufre Alo's housebook that afternoon. Ifunanya had sent a scanned copy to the family lawyer, along with a preservation notice. Dami opened the file in his office. The handwriting was neat. The entries were simple. He read about the guest boxes. 252 delivered. Invoice states 400. He read about the wine. 86 cartons received. Invoice states 120. He read about Ranti Alo's meeting. Cash and placement offered. Revised signature requested. Refused. His jaw tightened. Then he found the final entries. Sent to pharmacy by Ranti at 8:04 p. Returned 9:31 p.m. Receipt retained. Palumi borrowed spare locker keys. No register entry. Dami called Omasan. She arrived 5 minutes later. Did Kufre report shortages in the wedding deliveries? Omasan Alo's face changed. She mentioned some concerns. Did she prepare a written report? Silence. Madam Omasan, yes. Where is it? She lowered her eyes. Some in my drawer. Dami stood. You had it before the necklace disappeared? Yes. Why did I not receive it? The house was in chaos. I planned to bring it after the wedding. He stared at her. Bring it now. Omasan returned with the envelope. The seal was still intact. Dami read the report. It matched the notebook. He looked up. Did Palumi borrow the spare locker keys? Yes. Why? He said he needed them for storage. Did you record it? No. Did he have them on the night before the necklace disappeared? Yes. Dami Alo's voice dropped. And you said nothing when they opened Kufre Alo's locker? Omasan Alo's eyes filled. I was afraid. Of what? Losing my job. Dami pushed the report across the desk. She has already lost hers. Omasan flinched. He called the head of security. I want the access logs for the west corridor, the dressing room and the staff entrance. I want every card issued in the last 2 weeks. I want the camera status report and the administrator login history. The security chief hesitated. Sir, Chief said, the police are handling it. I am not asking what my father said. Yes, sir. And preserve everything before anyone touches the system. After the man left, Dami looked again at Kufre Alo's handwriting. The poorest person becomes the explanation for everything. For the first time, he wondered whether the necklace had not exposed a thief. Perhaps it had been used to create one. The security report arrived at 6 the next morning. Dami read it twice. At 8:37 p.m., on the night before the wedding, an access credential registered to Kufre had opened the West Service corridor. At 8:41 p.m., the same credential had opened the side entrance to Dr. Modupi Ilo's dressing suite. At 8:04 p.m., according to Kufre Alo's notebook, Ranti had sent her to the pharmacy. Dami called the pharmacy. The manager refused to release footage without a formal request. But he confirmed that their payment system recorded a cash sale for the exact medicine at 8:52 p.m. The receipt number matched Kufre Ilo's copy. The journey from Banana Island to the pharmacy, even with light traffic, took more than 20 minutes. Kufre could not have been inside the mansion at 8:41, and standing at the pharmacy 11 minutes later. Dami went to the security control room. The head of security, Mr. Sani, stood beside a technician from the company that installed the house access system. "Show me every credential carrying Kufre Alo's code." The technician searched. One permanent card appeared. Then a second item appeared beneath it. Temporary event pass, created at 8:18 p.m., the night before the wedding. Deactivated at 10:03 p.m. Dami leaned closer to the screen. Who created it? The administrator terminal. Which administrator? The system logs the terminal, not the person, unless they use an individual login. This was created under the event access account. Who had that account? Mr. Sani answered reluctantly. My deputy. 2 event coordinators. Pelumi. Why did Pelumi have security administration access? He was coordinating vendors. That does not answer my question. Mr. Sani lowered his head. He complained that approvals were delaying the media team. We gave limited access. Limited access that allowed him to duplicate a permanent worker, Lowe's code. The technician shook his head. It should not have. Somebody changed the permission level. When? He searched again. Last week. From which device? The event tablet. Dami remembered seeing Pelumi carrying that tablet from room to room. What about the camera outside the dressing suite? The technician opened another log. It went offline at 8:30. Power failure? No. Network failure? No, then why? It was disabled manually. From where? The same event tablet. The room became silent. Mr. Sani wiped his forehead. Sir, the police have a copy of the basic footage, but we had not yet extracted the administrator history. Extract everything. Put it on read-only storage. Send 1 copy to the police and 1 to the independent auditor. Independent auditor. Dami looked at him. Yes, this house is no longer investigating itself. By 9:00 he had engaged an external forensic accounting firm already used by the hotel group for supplier disputes. He gave them the wedding invoices, delivery notes, and bank records. His father entered the office just after 10. What exactly are you doing? Finding out what happened. The police are doing that. The police do not audit wedding invoices. Chief Oladapo closed the door. You have postponed the wedding. Ranti Alo's family is furious. The blogs are spreading nonsense. The sensible thing is to reschedule quietly and let the lawyers handle the maid. Dami slid the access report across the desk. His father read it. What does this prove? That a duplicated card carrying Kufre Alo's code entered the dressing corridor while Kufre was outside the property. Chief Oladapo Alo's face remained controlled. It proves there was another card, created through the event account, used during the period when the camera was manually disabled. Have you spoken to Pelumi? Not yet. Then do not make conclusions. I am not making conclusions. I am preserving evidence. His father pushed the report back. You are treating your fiancé Alo's family like criminals. A woman was taken to a police station because evidence was planted in her locker. We do not know that. We know she could not have used the card. Someone may have borrowed it. The real card remained with her. Chief Oladapo stood. Dami, I built this family Alo's name for 40 years. You cannot allow one domestic worker and one confused security log to turn the house upside down. Dami Alo's voice became quiet. The house was already upside down. We simply did not notice because the people on the floor were carrying it for us. His father stared at him. This is not the time for speeches. No, it is the time for records. Chief Oladapo left without another word. Ranti arrived before noon. She wore dark glasses and carried a designer handbag, but the calm she usually wore had begun to crack. Your father says you are auditing the wedding. Why? Because the delivery records do not match. She removed her glasses. Is this because of Kufre? It is because money was paid for goods that did not arrive. The wedding had multiple delivery locations. Then there should be receiving records at those locations. There are. Give them to the auditors. Ranti folded her arms. You brought outsiders into a private family matter without discussing it with me. I discussed the false quantities with you yesterday. You said nothing about them, said Palumi handled procurement. Did you ask Kufre to change the figures? Ranti Alo's eyes sharpened. She was confused. She documented that you offered her money and a hotel placement. I offered to help her. Is kindness now evidence? Not by itself. Then what are you accusing me of? I have not accused you. You called auditors. You are checking my cousin Alo's access. You are treating me like a suspect days before our marriage. Dami studied her. Did you send Kufre to the pharmacy on Friday night? Yes. I needed medicine. Did you take it? Rant paused. What kind of question is that? The packet was unopened when staff found it in your sitting room. I changed my mind. You sent her across Lagos for medicine you did not need. I did not know I would change my mind. Her access code entered my mother Alo's dressing corridor while she was away. For one instant, fear flashed across Ranti Alo's face. It vanished so quickly that Dami might have imagined it. She lifted her chin. Then somebody used her card. A duplicate was created. That is security, Alo's problem. Through the event account. Men including Palumi. Ranti picked up her handbag. If you have questions for my cousin, ask him. Do not interrogate me as if I stole your mother Alo's necklace. Dami stepped between her and the door. I am not stopping you. But before you leave, answer one thing. She waited. If Kufre was framed, will you publicly correct what was said about her? Ranti stared at him. Let the police decide first. That was not my question. Dami, move. He stepped aside. She left. At Ifunanya Alo's office, Kufre sat with a cup of tea she had not touched. The lawyer had received an email from Dami Alo's legal team confirming that the electronic data had been preserved. That is progress, Ifunanya said. Kufre looked out of the window. Progress does not pay my rent. No, but it may stop them from burying the evidence. Bright Home had sent a written suspension notice. After receiving the lawyer Alo's response, the agency released half of Kufre Alo's outstanding salary, but still withheld the remainder as a security deduction. Ifunanya had challenged that too. You need to prepare yourself, she told Kufre. Even if the evidence clears you, restoration is slower than accusation. I know. Some employers may still search your name and see the first article. I know. People may say the family only protected you because Damilare felt guilty. Kufre looked at her. I do not need him to feel guilty. No, I needed him to stop them before they broke the lock. Ifunanya did not disagree. Kufre Alo's phone vibrated. A message from Omasan. Please forgive me. I should have spoken. Kufre read it twice. Then she placed the phone face down. You do not have to answer today, Ifunanya said. She knew about the key. Yes. She knew about my report. Yes, she watched them carry me. Yes. Kufre, Alo's voice shook. Everybody likes the truth after it becomes safe. Ifunanya folded her hands. That is why courage has value. It costs something before the outcome is known. The forensic auditors worked for 2 days. The first irregularity was simple. The company that invoiced the missing guest boxes had been registered 7 months earlier. Its official address was a small office in Surulere, shared by 6 businesses. One director was a former university friend of Pelumi. The second irregularity was more serious. Payments had been divided into amounts just below the threshold, requiring a second approval from Dami Alo's office. The third irregularity connected the wine, flowers, and gift boxes. 3 different suppliers had transferred so-called consultancy fees to the same event support company after receiving payment from the Akinyele family. That company Alo's bank account was controlled by Pelumi. The total value of questionable payments and undelivered goods was 18,400,000 naira. It was not enough to threaten the Akinyele fortune. It was enough to explain why somebody might want a careful housekeeper discredited before she spoke. Dami met with the auditors in a conference room at the family office. "Can you prove Ranti knew?" he asked. The lead auditor, Mrs. Adigbite, shook her head. "Not from the bank records alone. Pelumi is the direct link, but several approvals came from Ranti Alo's email account. Could he have used it? Possible. We need device logs and statements. What about the delivery notes? 2 carry signatures that appear to be copied from an earlier document signed by Mrs. Edwa. The others are unsigned." Dami looked at the figures, so Kufre Alo's refusal created a gap. Yes. Her signature would have completed the receiving chain. And without it, the supplier could still be paid, but the discrepancy was easier to challenge. Mrs. Adigbite closed the file. She was not merely inconvenient. She was a record that refused to match the fraud. That sentence stayed with him, a record that refused to match the fraud. He drove back to the mansion and asked for Pelumi. Nobody knew where he was. His phone was switched off. At 4 that afternoon, Omasan requested to speak with Dami. She entered his office carrying the spare key register. "There is something else." He waited. "When Pelumi borrowed the locker keys, I did not write it down." "I know. But I saw him return them. When? Friday night. Around 10, after Kufre returned from the pharmacy." "Yes. Why did you not say this before?" Omasan clasped her hands. "Ranti came to me after the necklace was found. She said I should not confuse the investigation with irrelevant details." "What exact words did she use?" She said, "Do not start telling stories about keys. The necklace was in Kufre Alo's locker. Let the police do their work." Dami leaned back. "And you obeyed?" Tears filled Omasan Alo's eyes. "I have worked for your family for 21 years. My husband is gone. 2 of my grandchildren depend on me. I was afraid that if I accused her cousin and I was wrong, you did not need to accuse anyone. You needed to say what you saw. I know. Did you believe Kufre stole the necklace?" Omasan began to cry. "No, even when they found it." "I doubted her. But you stayed quiet." "Yes." Dami looked away. Then the anger turned towards himself. He had also doubted. He had also allowed fear of disruption to become an excuse. Omasan wiped her face. "I will tell the police. You may lose your position. I know. Your statement will be reviewed. If you concealed relevant information, there may be disciplinary action." He studied her. "Why now?" "Because Kufre sent me one message." "What did she say?" Omasan unlocked her phone and showed him. "You knew enough to doubt them, but you allowed them to carry me away." Dami read it. Omasan put the phone away. "I have been managing this house for 21 years. I thought protecting the house meant preventing scandal. But perhaps I was protecting the people who could cause scandal from the people who could not defend themselves. Dami nodded once. Give the statement. The police invited Pelumi for questioning that evening. He arrived with a lawyer. He denied duplicating Kufre Alo's card. He denied touching the necklace. He said the event tablet had been used by many people. He admitted borrowing the spare keys, but claimed he had returned them before the night of the theft. When shown Omasan Alo's statement, he called her confused. When shown the procurement records, he described the transfers as commissions. When asked why the camera had been disabled, he said he knew nothing about it. His lawyer advised him not to answer further questions. The investigators did not arrest him immediately. The digital evidence needed formal verification. The financial records needed tracing. The necklace had been handled by several people after recovery, making fingerprint analysis unreliable. Real investigations did not move at the speed of outrage. But the direction had changed. Kufre was no longer the only person being examined. The following day, the police issued a brief statement confirming that the investigation remained open and that no person had been charged. The blog that called Kufre a thief did not remove its headline. It added one line at the bottom. Duques. Authorities say inquiries are ongoing. The word thief remained above her photograph. Ifunanya sent a formal demand for correction. The blog replied that it had reported information from a source close to the family. Dami asked Ranti directly whether Pelumi had sent the story. They met in the empty garden pavilion, where the wedding chairs had already been removed. Only the flower structure remained browning at the edges. Ranti stood beneath it. You have embarrassed my family enough. Did Pelumi send Kufre Alo's photograph to the blog? I do not know. He exchanged messages with the editor that morning. He works with media. The first message was sent 14 minutes after the necklace was found. Ranti Alo's jaw tightened. What do you want from me? The truth. The truth is that your family treated me like a criminal because a maid kept a notebook. The truth is that somebody used that notebook as a reason to destroy her. You are choosing her over me. Dami shook his head. This is not about choosing a woman. It looks like it. I barely know Kufre. Yet you are turning our wedding into a courtroom for her. No. I am turning our marriage into a question about you. Ranti stared at him. He continued. I need you to agree to postpone the wedding indefinitely. We go to the lawyers together. We cooperate with the investigation. We issue a statement correcting the accusation against Kufre, and we open every wedding account. Her lips parted in disbelief. You want me to stand before the public and apologize to a maid. I want you to apologize to a woman who was publicly accused before evidence was checked. You have lost your mind. Did you know Pelumi was taking money? No. Did you ask Kufre to sign false quantities? I asked her to complete paperwork. Did you send her out of the house so someone could use her access code? Ranti Alo's eyes flashed. Be careful. Answer. No. Did you know the necklace would be placed in her locker? No. Did you know somebody planned to discredit her? Ranti turned away. Dami watched her shoulders. Ranti. She faced him again. Pelumi said he would handle her. The words hung between them. How? I did not ask. You did not ask? She was threatening everything. She wrote down missing boxes. She was going to create a scandal days before our wedding. So you told Pelumi to handle her. I told him to stop her from interfering. And when the necklace appeared in her locker, Ranti Alo's voice rose. I was shocked. Were you? Yes. Then why did you order security to open her locker first? Because Pelumi told me she had been seen near Mummy Ilo's room, using a card he created. I did not know that. Why did you leak her name? I did not. Pelumi did. I cannot control every action of my cousin. You could correct it now. Ranti gave a bitter laugh. And say what? That the cleaner who embarrassed me may not be a thief? Do you know what that will do to my company? To my foundation? To our families? Dami Alo's face changed. There it was. Not innocence, calculation. He stepped closer. A woman Ilo's life has already been damaged. She will survive. How do you know? People like her survive these things. Give her money and she will disappear. The garden pavilion seemed to shrink around them. Dami looked at the woman he had planned to marry. He saw the elegant charity campaigns, the speeches about dignity, the photographs with widows and market women, the soft public voice. Then he heard the sentence again. People like her survive these things. Do you hear yourself? He asked. Ranti crossed her arms. I am being practical. No. You are telling me that her pain is affordable. She is one maid. She is one human being, and I am your fiancé. That does not make her smaller. Ranti Alo's eyes filled, but the tears did not soften him. What are you saying? Dami looked at the dead flowers around them. I am saying, there will be no wedding until this is resolved. Her face hardened. You will regret this. Perhaps. You will humiliate both families. The humiliation has already happened. To her? Yes. Ranti laughed once, sharp and wounded. You would destroy our future for a stranger? Dami Alo's answer came quietly. No. I am refusing to build a future with someone who thinks a stranger Allah's life can be destroyed for convenience. Chief Oladapo did not accept the decision. He summoned Dami to the family office that evening. Dr. Modupi was already there. So was the family lawyer. The wedding will hold on Saturday, Chief said. Dami remained standing. No. His father looked at him as if he had spoken in a language the room did not understand. We have moved the ceremony once. The new date has been announced privately. Guests are traveling. Contracts have been renewed. I did not approve a new date. You are the groom. You do not need to manage logistics. I am not marrying Ranti on Saturday. Chief Oladapo Alo's palm struck the desk. This is no longer a private disagreement. The Fasholas are business partners. Their family has brought investors into our Lekki project. The press is already asking why the first ceremony failed. The press can ask. You are willing to damage a company employing thousands because of allegations that are still under investigation? Dami placed the audit summary on the table. 18.4 million naira in irregular payments. Duplicate access created through the event account. A camera manually disabled. A spare locker key in Pelumi Alo's possession. Ranti admits she told him to handle Kufre. Handle does not mean frame. She knew enough to demand a proper investigation. Instead, she called Kufre a thief and released her name. We cannot prove Ranti released anything. Her cousin did. Then deal with the cousin. Dami looked at him. That is exactly what she said. Chief nostrils flared. You are confusing moral perfection with marriage. People make mistakes under pressure. A mistake is shouting at someone. A mistake is signing the wrong paper. Watching a woman Alo's name destroyed and saying, money will make her disappear is not pressure. It is character. His father turned to Dr. Mojup. Say something. She sat with her hands folded in her lap. For 2 days, she had said very little. Now she looked at her son. Did Ranti know Kufre might be innocent? She knew there were serious reasons to doubt the accusation, and she refused to correct it. Yes, Dr. Mojup closed her eyes briefly. The necklace had been returned to her after the police documented it. It now remained locked in a bank deposit box. She could not bear to see it. I will not wear that necklace again, she said. Chief stared at her. What does that have to do with this? It was my necklace. My pain helped everybody stop asking questions. You were robbed, A thing was taken from my room and used to rob another woman of her name. I saw Kufre, returned Damialo's watch. I saw her bring back money guests, forgot in pockets. I knew enough about her to ask for patience, but when they found that necklace, I allowed my hurt to become certainty. She turned to Dami. You failed her when you allowed them to take her. He nodded. I know. Chief stood behind the desk. So now everybody wants to confess guilt and throw away a marriage. Dr. Majup faced her husband. No. We want to stop pretending the wedding is more sacred than the person harmed to protect it. The family lawyer cleared his throat. If the marriage proceeds while the investigation is open, the reputational risk may actually increase. Should further evidence connect Miss Fashola? Chief waved him silent. Everybody is suddenly afraid of reputation except when cancelling a wedding. Damio's voice remained calm. This is not a cancellation for reputation. Then what is it? A refusal. To do what? To stand before God, family, and witnesses and promise trust to someone I no longer trust. Chief looked at him for a long time. Then he sat. The guests will still come. I will speak to them. You will not stand on a stage and accuse the Fashola family. I will state what I know and no more. You will shame us. Dami shook his head. We shamed ourselves when our first response to an accusation was to decide which exit the poor woman should be taken through. Saturday arrived under a clear Lagos sky. The second ceremony had been planned as a smaller event, but smaller in the Akinyele world still meant 200 guests, uniformed ushers, a string quartet, fresh flowers, and a reception hall overlooking the lagoon. Ranti came. Until the final hour, she believed Dami would change his mind. Her mother told her men became frightened before marriage. Her father said Chief Oladapo would control his son. Palumi had stopped answering family calls, but Ranti Alo's lawyers insisted there was no direct evidence tying her to the necklace. So she dressed. The gown was ivory silk with a long fitted train. A veil covered her face. She sat in a private suite while the makeup artist repaired the same corner of her lipstick 3 times. Has Dami arrived? She asked. Yes, madam. Did he send a message? No, madam. Ranti looked at herself in the mirror. She was still the woman newspapers wanted to photograph. Still the founder of a charity. Still the daughter of a respected family. A Maid Alo's accusation could not end this. Outside, Dami stood in a side room with his mother. He wore a dark suit, but no boutonniere. Dr. Mojupi adjusted his collar. Are you certain? Yes. You can still do this privately. The first accusation was not private. Do not speak from anger. I will not. Do not turn Ranti into something less than human because she treated Kufre that way. Dami looked at his mother. That is difficult. Then do what is right without enjoying her destruction. He nodded. The event coordinator knocked. Sir, everyone is seated. Dami entered the hall alone. The guests rose automatically, expecting music to begin. Instead, he walked to the front and asked for a microphone. The quartet stopped. Whispers moved through the room. Chief Oladapo sat in the front row with his face carved into stone. Dr. Mojupe sat beside him. Ranti Alo's parents looked towards the entrance. Dami waited until the room settled. Thank you for coming, he began. I know many of you have rearranged travel and work to be here after our earlier postponement. He paused. There will be no wedding today. A woman near the aisle gasped. Ranti Alo's father stood. What is this? Dami looked at him. I will speak with you privately. After this, you will speak now. Chief Oladapo did not move. Dami continued. Last week, a member of staff in our family home was accused of stealing a necklace. The item was found in her locker, and before basic records were checked, her name and photograph were released publicly. She lost her work. She was taken for questioning. People who knew nothing about her called her a criminal. The room had become completely still. There is now evidence that her access credentials were duplicated, security cameras were manually disabled, and the locker containing the necklace was accessible to another person. There is also an active investigation into financial irregularities connected to wedding procurement. Ranti appeared at the entrance. She had removed her veil. Her mother hurried towards her, but Ranti kept walking. "Dami," she said. He looked at her. "Not here." She reached the front. "You promised to speak to me before doing anything." "I did. You are humiliating me." Dami lowered the microphone. "I asked you to postpone. I asked you to cooperate. I asked you to correct what was said about Kufre." Ranti Alo's eyes shone with fury. "You are destroying our marriage because of a maid." The microphone caught the last words. A murmur swept across the hall. Dami raised it again. "No." His voice was steady. "You did not lose this wedding because of a maid. You lost it because you believed her life was small enough to destroy." Ranti went still. Dami continued, speaking now to her as much as to the room. "I cannot promise trust while an innocent person is being asked to carry shame so that this ceremony can continue. I cannot begin a marriage by pretending cruelty becomes acceptable when the victim has less money, less influence, or a uniform." Ranti Alo's father moved forward. "This is defamation." Dami faced him. "I have stated matters documented by investigators and auditors. I have not declared anyone guilty of a crime." Ranti Alo's voice broke. "You said you loved me. I did. Then protect me. From the consequences of what happened. From this." She gestured at the guests, the cameras, the faces. Dami looked around. "Kufre asked me to protect her from this exact thing before they took her away. I told her the investigation would handle it." Ranti Alo's lips trembled. "So this is guilt. Partly. You are punishing me because you failed." "No, I am refusing to ignore what your response revealed." For one moment, Ranti looked very young. Not innocent, not monstrous. Simply cornered by a truth she had believed money could rearrange. Then her face hardened. "You will regret choosing a servant over your own future," Dami answered quietly. "A future that requires another person to be treated as disposable is not mine." Ranti turned. Her train dragged across the polished floor as she walked out. No one applauded. That mattered. This was not entertainment for the people in the room. A woman Alo's wedding had collapsed. A family had been exposed. A worker Alo's suffering sat at the center of it. Justice did not need cheering to be real. Dami ended the gathering. He instructed the caterers to serve anyone who wished to remain, and to distribute the prepared food to shelters and staff facilities through documented channels. No cameras were allowed to turn the cancellation into charity publicity. At the same hour, Kufre sat in Ifunanya Alo's office. She had refused the invitation to attend. "I will not stand there like the prize he chose," she had said. So she signed legal papers instead. A demand for public correction. A wage claim against Bright Home. A complaint concerning the handling of her personal locker and the publication of her identity. Her phone began vibrating with messages. Idara read the first report. He cancelled it. Kufre kept signing. He said your name. Kufre looked up. What did he say? Idara showed her the clip already circulating online. Dami Alo's words played through the small phone speaker. "You did not lose this wedding because of a maid. You lost it because you believed her life was small enough to destroy." Idara Alo's eyes filled. Kufre watched the clip once. Then she returned the phone. "Does this help our correction?" Ifunanya nodded. "It helps public understanding. It does not replace a formal correction." "Good." Idara stared at her. "That is all you will say?" Kufre Alo's hand paused above the page. "What should I say?" "That he stopped his wedding. He should not marry someone he does not trust. He did it because of you." Kufre looked at her friend. He did it because of what she did, and what he finally understood. I will not become the reason people excuse him for standing there the first day. Ifunanya gave a small nod. Sign the last page. Kufre did. The days after the cancelled wedding were louder than the days before it. Television programs debated whether Dami had acted honorably or impulsively. Some commentators accused him of humiliating Ranti. Others praised him as a hero. Kufre disliked both versions. The hero story removed the fact that he had failed first. The villain bride story removed the system of workers, managers, family members, and media outlets that had made the frame-up effective. Pelumi remained the focus of the criminal investigation. Forensic examination of the event tablet showed that his login credentials had been used when Kufre Alo's duplicate access pass was created and when the camera was disabled. Device location records placed his phone inside the mansion at the time. Bank analysis showed transfers from the event support company to a personal investment account he controlled. The strongest link came from the temporary event coordinator who had worked beside him. The coordinator gave a statement that Pelumi had asked how to duplicate access zones without printing a cardholder Alo's name. He had claimed it was necessary for a media runner. Palamio's lawyer argued that other people could have used the tablet. Then investigators recovered deleted messages from a cloud backup. One message from Ranti read, "She has copies. Make sure nobody believes anything she says after today." Pelumi replied, "I will handle it." A later message, sent after Kufre left for the pharmacy, said, "She is out." There was no message saying, "Steal the necklace." No message saying, "Put it in her locker." Ranti maintained that she had asked Pelumi only to discredit the delivery complaint, perhaps by showing that Kufre had mishandled records. She denied knowing he would commit theft or fabricate evidence. Pelumi eventually changed his statement. He admitted taking the necklace from Dr. Mojup Alo's dressing room and placing it in Kufre Alo's locker. He claimed he had acted alone in choosing the method. He said Ranti had been desperate to prevent procurement questions from reaching Dami before the wedding, but she had not told him to use the necklace. The law would decide how far her knowledge extended. The moral question was already clearer. After the necklace was found, she had possessed enough information to doubt the accusation. She had chosen certainty because certainty served her. The police formally cleared Kufre as a suspect. The statement was brief. Evidence established that Miss Kufre Essien was not present at the location when unauthorized access occurred. The investigation found no basis to charge her in relation to the missing jewelry. Ifunanya read it aloud in her office. Kufre sat very still. "You are cleared," the lawyer said. Kufre nodded. "Say something. What happens to the article?" "We send them this, and Brightholme. They must reinstate you or resolve the employment claim." Kufre looked down at her hands. She had imagined this moment many times. In her imagination, relief came like rain. In reality, it came cautiously. Being cleared did not erase the neighbors' Alo looks. It did not remove the night at the station. It did not return the days she had spent afraid to answer her phone. "Can I go home?" she asked. Ifunanya leaned back. "Yes." Outside, Kufre walked alone for several streets before entering a bus. Nobody recognized her. For the first time in days, being unseen felt like mercy. Brightholme offered to restore her to the agency roster. The operations manager called personally. "We are pleased the matter has been resolved." Kufre almost laughed. "It was not resolved by your company. We followed the information available at the time. You withheld my wages. We have processed the balance. You suspended me before asking for my statement. We had to protect clients. Who protects the workers? The manager changed his tone. Kufre, let us not make this emotional. We can place you with another high-profile family. Your experience is valuable. No, you may reconsider after resting. I am not returning. Then you should submit a resignation. Ifunanya, listening on speaker, shook her head. Kufre said, send all communication through my lawyer. The agency later agreed to pay the withheld wages, reverse the disciplinary record, and contribute to a settlement for procedural failures. It also issued a letter stating that Kufre had never been found guilty of misconduct while under its employment. The entertainment blog resisted longer. Its editor argued that the original report had been based on eyewitness information. Ifunanya replied that the headline had presented an allegation as fact and left the word thief above Kufre Alo's photograph, even after police confirmed no charge. Dami Alo's legal team provided an affidavit confirming that the family had not authorized the accusation as a final conclusion. The blog published a new headline: Housekeeper falsely accused in Billionaire wedding. Jewelry case cleared by police. It was not as widely shared as the first story. Corrections rarely traveled with the same appetite as scandal. Still, Kufre kept a printed copy, not because she wanted to remember the pain, because she had learned that names, like houses, needed records. The Akinyele family requested a private meeting. Kufre did not go alone. She arrived at the mansion with Ifunanya on a Tuesday morning, 3 weeks after the cancelled wedding. The fountain still ran, the glass windows still reflected the lagoon. The guards still opened the gate with the same careful speed, yet the house felt different. The wedding banners were gone. The flower frames had been removed. No temporary workers crowded the driveway. For the first time, Kufre saw the mansion as it had been before the ceremony turned every corridor into a stage. Omerson met them at the entrance. She wore a dark brown dress instead of her management uniform. Kufre. Good morning, madam. Omerson Alo's eyes filled. I am sorry. Kufre looked at her for a moment. I know. I should have spoken. Yes. I told them everything. Yes. Omerson waited, perhaps hoping for forgiveness to arrive because she had finally told the truth. Kufre did not offer it. Not yet. You knew enough to doubt them, she said. But you allowed them to carry me away. Omerson lowered her head. I did. I understand that you were afraid of losing your job, but I lost mine because everybody who was afraid decided I could carry the danger for them. The older woman, Ala's mouth trembled. You are right. Kufre Ala's voice softened, but only slightly. I do not hate you, madam, but forgiveness is not the same as pretending your silence did not harm me. Omersan nodded. I understand. They entered the drawing room. Chief Oladapo stood near the window. Dr. Modupe sat on one sofa. Dami sat opposite her with a folder on his lap. When Kufre entered, all three stood. The gesture unsettled her more than she expected. For 11 months, she had entered rooms and remained standing while the family sat. Ifunanya took the chair beside her. Chief Oladapo began. Miss Essien, thank you for agreeing to come. Kufre waited. He was a man accustomed to giving speeches, but the first words seemed difficult. What happened in this house was unacceptable. Ifunanya Alo's face remained neutral. Chief continued. You were accused before the facts were established. Your locker was searched without a proper process. Your name entered the public domain. Our family did not respond quickly enough to correct the harm. Kufre looked at him. You tried to pay me not to speak. The Chief Alo's jaw tightened. Yes. Was that part unacceptable too? Dami glanced at his father. Chief Oladapo took a breath. Yes. Silence settled across the room. I believed I was protecting my family, he said. In truth, I was protecting our comfort from the consequences of what happened to you. Kufre nodded once. Dr. Modupe spoke next. I am sorry that my grief over the necklace became more important to me than asking whether the accusation made sense. I knew your conduct in this house. I had seen your honesty. But when the necklace was found, I allowed the place it was found to become the whole truth. She looked directly at Kufre. I cannot ask you to forget that. No, Ma. I can only say that I was wrong. Kufre eyes moved to Dami. He did not open the folder. I owe you an apology without an excuse, he said. She said nothing. When you asked me to check the records, I should have stopped the search process and done exactly that. Instead, I told myself I was being neutral. You said the investigation would clear me. Yes. You allowed them to take me first. Yes. The whole house heard your answer. Yes. Dami held her gaze. I thought refusing to accuse you made me fair. I did not understand that standing aside while power moved against you was also a choice. Kufre's throat tightened. He continued. I was wrong. She looked down at her hands. For weeks she had imagined him saying those words. Now that he had, they did not repair everything. But they did not mean nothing. You understand it now because it finally cost you something, she said. Dami nodded. Yes. Chief Oladapo shifted in his seat. We have prepared a compensation proposal. If Unanya opened her folder, we will review it. It includes lost wages, reputational harm, legal expenses, and support for completion of Miss Essian's Aloe's professional certification. Kufre looked at him. I do not want school fees described as charity. It is not charity. Then it should be part of the settlement. With no photograph, no foundation launch, and no interview about how your family helped me. Chief Elo's eyebrows lifted slightly. Agreed. The public correction must remain online. Agreed. Bright Home must correct my record. They have, and the household changes cannot disappear after the news becomes quiet. Dami opened the folder on his lap. That is why we asked you here. Inside was a draft policy for domestic workers at the mansion and for resident staff across the family, Aloe's service departments. It included written contracts, clear wage statements, a complaint system, access logs, rules for searches, procedures for reporting missing property, and protection for workers who raised concerns about deliveries or finances. Kufre read several pages. Who wrote this? Our compliance team and an external labor consultant. Did any housekeeper review it? Dami paused. No, then it is incomplete. Chief Oladapo leaned back. What would you add? Kufre turned to the section on personal searches. A worker should be present when a locker is opened unless there is an immediate safety risk. There should be a witness who is not the accuser. The reason for the search should be written before the search, not afterwards. Ifunanya nodded. And workers need access to copies of incident reports. Kufre continued, the complaint system cannot go only through the household manager. If the manager is afraid, the complaint dies. Omasan, standing near the doorway, lowered her eyes. There should be another channel, Sin Kufre said. A number or email controlled outside the house. Dami took notes. What about deliveries? Every receiving point should have one person responsible for quantity. If goods are split between locations, each location signs only for what it receives. Chief Oladapo watched her. You should help us implement this. Kufre closed the document. As what? A household operations consultant, Dami said, paid independently. She looked at him, no. The answer came so quickly that Chief frowned. Dami did not. May I ask why? I am not ready to work for this family in any form. Dr. Mojup Ilo's expression was sad but understanding. We can increase the fee, Chief said. It is not about the fee. You have the knowledge. I also have memories in this house. Nobody spoke. Kufre placed the policy on the table. I can send written comments through my lawyer. But I cannot return here each day and teach people how they should have treated me. Dami nodded. That is fair. Chief Oladapo looked as if he wanted to argue, but Dr. Mojup touched his arm. Kufre stood. At the door, Dr. Mojupe called her name. Kufre, she turned. I had planned to offer you your position back with a higher salary. Kufre gave a small, tired smile. Thank you, Ma. But I can forgive this house one day. I cannot work inside it whilst I am still learning how to breathe again. She left. The settlement was finalized 2 months later. Kufre received compensation, but not a fortune large enough to turn her life into a fairy tale. It covered her lost income, legal costs, and the measurable harm caused by the false accusation. It allowed her to settle part of her family, Alo's debt, and complete the professional certification she had abandoned years earlier. She kept most of her school savings untouched. That mattered to her. The new qualification would not be something a billionaire had gifted to a poor maid. It would be something she had already been walking towards before anybody placed a necklace in her locker. Classes began in September. On the first morning, Kufre sat in the second row with a new notebook. The lecturer spoke about inventory control, room inspections, and chain of custody for guest property. When valuables are reported missing, he said, the goal is not to find someone to blame quickly. The goal is to preserve facts. Kufre wrote the sentence down. After class, another student glanced at her notes. You write everything. Kufre smiled. I have learned the value of records. Meanwhile, the changes inside the Akinyele organization began slowly. Dami refused to announce them as a new charity initiative. There were no glossy photographs, no slogan, no launch event. The hotel group contracted an independent labor advisor to review domestic and outsourced service arrangements. Workers received copies of their contracts. Wage deductions had to be explained in writing. Anonymous comments could bypass local managers. Supplier deliveries required separate receiving signatures. Security administrators lost the ability to duplicate staff access without 2 approvals. At the mansion, staff lockers were replaced with individually coded units. Searches required written authorization and an independent witness. Omasan faced disciplinary review for failing to report the spare key and withholding Kufre Alo's complaint. She lost her performance bonus and was removed from sole control of incident reporting. Dami allowed her to remain employed. Some people criticized the decision. Others said she had redeemed herself by speaking. Dami rejected both simple conclusions. She had done harm through fear. She had also later accepted risk to tell the truth. One action did not erase the other. Accountability did not always mean throwing a person away. Sometimes it meant making them live inside the repaired system and carry the knowledge of why repair had become necessary. Chief Oladapo disliked the cost of the changes. Then a review at one service department discovered that an outsourcing contractor had withheld portions of workers' salaries for months. The new reporting channel exposed it. The contractor was removed. The workers were repaid. Chief read the report twice. How long was this happening? He asked. Nearly a year, Dami said, and none of the managers knew. They said there were no formal complaints. Chief looked at him. Because complaints went through the contractor. Yes. For once, the older man did not defend the old system. Fix it everywhere, he said. Ranti Alo's life did not end. That was important. Her company lost 2 major clients during the investigation. Her foundation, Alo's partners, suspended funding after discovering that some wedding vendors had also invoiced charity events through Palumi Alo's companies. She issued a public statement saying she regretted allowing pressure and poor judgment to influence her response to the accusation against Kufre. The statement did not satisfy everyone. It did not fully admit knowledge of the plan. The criminal case against Pelumi proceeded through the courts. The financial issues were handled through separate investigations and settlements. Ranti faced civil claims and regulatory scrutiny, but no dramatic judgment arrived overnight. Real consequences were slower than social media wanted. They were also more specific. Contracts were examined. Accounts were frozen where authorized. Witnesses gave statements. Lawyers argued over what Ranti knew and when she knew it. Kufre did not follow every hearing. She had spent enough of her life waiting for powerful people to define what had happened to her. 1 year after the accusation, she completed her certification with distinction. She accepted a role at an independent hospitality training company in Victoria Island. Her work involved teaching housekeeping supervisors, auditing inventory procedures, and reviewing how hotels handled missing property. On her first day, the director introduced her to the team. "This is Kufre Essien, our new quality and operations officer. Not maid, not accused worker, not the woman from the cancelled wedding, operations officer." She placed the old blue housebook in the bottom drawer of her desk. She did not throw it away. 2 years after the wedding that never happened, Kufre stood before a conference room filled with hotel managers, resident supervisors, and security professionals. Her presentation was titled, "The Cost of Assumption: Fair Incident Handling in Hospitality Operations." She did not tell her personal story in full. She used a case study without names. A valuable item disappeared. A junior worker became the immediate suspect. A search was poorly conducted. An allegation leaked. Later, access records contradicted the accusation. "What was the first operational failure?" Kufre asked. A manager raised his hand. "The access card was duplicated. That was a security failure, but it was not the first." Another person answered. "The delivery complaint was ignored earlier." The room became quiet. Kufre looked across the faces. The first failure was deciding that the lowest paid person required less evidence. Pens moved across notebooks. She continued. "Poverty is not evidence. A uniform is not a confession. And a fast accusation can create damage that a slow correction may never fully repair." At the back of the room, Dami listened. He had registered for the conference through his company like every other delegate. He did not request a private seat. He did not tell the organizers he knew the speaker. When the session ended, people gathered around Kufre with questions. Dami waited. Eventually, the room cleared. Kufre saw him near the door. "Mr. Akinyele, Ms. Essien, you attended the whole session. I took notes. That is progress." He smiled. There was more tiredness in his face than she remembered, but less certainty. "How are you?" he asked. "Well, I heard about your promotion." "From whom?" "Our compliance advisor follows your company. Allah's work, I see." He held up the conference booklet. "Your point about apology procedures was useful. It should not be necessary to explain that a correction must be as visible as an accusation." "No, but apparently it is." They walked into the hallway. For 2 years, their communication had remained formal. Dami had sent one letter after her certification results, congratulating her. Kufre had replied with 2 lines. He had not asked for friendship, forgiveness, or romance. That restraint had done more to rebuild trust than any expensive gesture could have done. Near the lift, he stopped. "I have wanted to apologize again." "You already did." "I know. Then, why again?" "Because the first time I was still trying to repair the situation. Now I understand that you were not a situation." Kufre looked at him. Dami continued. "You were a person standing in front of me, telling me exactly what you needed. I chose procedure because procedure allowed me not to choose courage." She was silent. "I cannot change that moment," he said. But I do not want the lesson to become something I only use in company meetings. Kufre glanced towards the conference room. Lessons are easy when they become policy, harder when they become behavior. I know. Do you? I am trying to. The lift arrived. Neither entered. Dami drew a breath. May I buy you coffee? Kufre Alo's eyebrows rose. As an apology? No. As a business meeting? No. As what? As coffee with someone I would like to know if she is willing. Kufre studied him carefully. The man before her was still wealthy, still connected to the house where she had been humiliated. Power did not vanish because someone spoke softly. But she was no longer his employee. Her salary did not depend on his approval. Her future would not collapse if she said no. That difference mattered more than chemistry. I do not want to become the woman people say you chose after canceling your wedding. I understand. I do not owe you affection because you eventually did what was right. I know. You cannot use me to prove you have changed. I will not. She let the silence stretch. Then she said, 1 coffee. Dami smiled. 1 coffee. You may buy it. Thank you. But do not come late. Why? For the first time, Kufre smiled without caution. I still keep records. They entered the next lift together. There was no promise of marriage. No sudden transformation. No suggestion that justice required romance. There was only a door opening between 2 adults who could now meet without one holding the other Alo's livelihood. Sometimes that was enough for a beginning. Kufre Alo's old housebook remained in her office drawer. Its pages held numbers, names, times, and instructions that powerful people once dismissed as the habits of an over-serious maid. But the book had never been only about inventory. It was proof that invisible work still left a record. It was proof that one worker Alo's memory could resist a house full of convenient explanations. And it was proof that dignity did not begin with charity speeches, expensive weddings, or the generosity of rich families. Dignity began when a person was treated as fully human before their usefulness, income, or social position was known. From my own view, the most disturbing part of what happened in that mansion was not the stolen necklace. It was how quickly almost everyone accepted that the poorest person must be the guilty one. The necklace was valuable, but Kufre Alo's name was treated as cheaper. Dami was right to cancel the wedding. Still, that decision did not erase his first failure. He stood aside when Kufre needed him to stop an unfair process. A person does not have to plant evidence to become part of an injustice. Sometimes silence, delay, and the desire to avoid inconvenience are enough. An apology also cannot remain private when the accusation was public. Restoring dignity requires more than saying sorry. It may require correction, compensation, changed procedures, and the humility to admit that the system itself made the harm possible. The people who clean rooms, carry boxes, cook meals, and guard gates are not background objects in someone else's success. They have names, they have families, they have futures. And before we judge any person, we should ask whether we are following evidence, or merely choosing the explanation that costs us the least.